This video will contain spoilers from the world and story of Subnautica. Please beware. Now, the gameplay of Subnautica does one thing really well, and that is take you all around its world, exploring different biomes and incentivizing you to explore on your own, even without a direct goal. However, one thing that you never quite get to explore, perhaps as much as we could, is what's actually happening outside of the planet. What is happening back on Earth? What is happening in the universe as is? What is happening to humanity? Well, in today's speculation-based video, I figured we could focus on that. And I do have to warn you here that this video, as opposed to a lot of the other videos I make, will be heavily speculation-based. There are not going to be quite as many facts as there usually are, so if this isn't your cup of tea, I completely understand if you want to skip out and just wait till the next lore video. But if you're still there, grab the nearest ticket for the nearest phase gate, get ready to be teleported back to Earth and have your organs replaced, and let's go. Now, first of all, I think there are three main questions that we can kind of focus on, and those are: 1. What's happening with the precursors? 2. What's going on back on Earth? And 3. What's going on with Altera, well, and the rest of humanity? So let's just go by these one by one. To answer question number 1, what's going on with the precursors, we have to once again dispel the common myth that Kara originated on planet 4546b. That is simply not correct. Based on what we know about the precursors, they actually encountered Kara on an unknown planet somewhere a bit further than 1000 years back, since that's when they arrived on the planet. And the reason why they arrived is that they were looking for a cure. Now, don't make the mistake of thinking that Kara is cured in the whole universe, because it's not. Not only is Enzyme 42 technically limited to planet 4546b, but even if you took samples of it out and tried to distribute them, we already know that Kara has the ability to branch out and mutate simply based on the fact that you can find a different strand of it in both of the natural selection games. This effectively means that it is possible that all throughout the universe outside, the bacterium is still ravenous and is killing millions. Now, as into what happened to the precursors, are they all dead? Well, we can't exactly know. I mean, clearly the ones who stayed on 4546b probably are. And we do know that Kara supposedly brought chaos to many of their core worlds. However, them being a rather advanced civilization that already understands teleportation and storing the consciousness of their people in computers, it is definitely not out of the question that there might still be some, or perhaps even many, alive out there actively looking for a cure. Now, moving on from precursors, let's jump back to Earth, and this is perhaps the one we know the least about. Now, funny enough, we can actually make a guess as into what time frame the Subnautica games are taking place in, simply based on an interesting trivia point from the wiki, where they do mention that the Earth Sword that can be found in one of the alien facilities was likely obtained around 1000 years ago, and the sword itself bears a striking 13th century Mongolian design, which is from right around the 12th century. It can be guessed that the game is taking place anywhere between 2160 and 2199. However, of course, this is kind of just a guesstimate, and considering some of the information we know about Altera and how they came to power in the midst of the 22nd century, this is not exactly completely accurate. As far as we know, somewhere past the year 2100, the dolphins of Earth are extinct, and the planet itself is presumably controlled by trans governments, which on its own, for the citizens, is probably not that bad. We'll get to that in a second. But as far as the nature goes, considering the fact that humans are very actively spreading all around many different solar systems, chances are the original planet itself might not be doing so well. This could probably also be cobbled together with the fact that there have been mentions of some pretty large conflicts going on, well, around Earth, especially around the time of the expansion, so-called, when trans governments really came to power, which you would think that with futuristic weapons would probably wreak a lot of havoc in the environment. And if the seas are polluted enough to kill dolphins, chances are they are polluted enough to kill hundreds of other organisms. But let's finally jump towards the trans governments. How are humans surviving? How are the trans governments doing? Well, Altera is still clearly the #1 trans government, or at least we suppose so. I mean, they do own 9% of all phase gates. And at least according to their rules, that should mean that their citizens are having a great time. I mean, all the trans governments are technically demilitarized, meaning that no one has the right to produce or bear arms, well, except for the survival knife. But then again, there is the trans-government police force which is allowed to bear guns that is kind of keeping an eye on everyone. So perhaps this could be one of those situations where from the outside, it appears as if though everyone is having a great life, but on the inside it is actually a bit more of a dictatorship. If you're interested in learning more about how Altera works on the inside, I strongly recommend my video about it, which talks a lot about its structure, about what citizens inside are experiencing, and how it came to be. Now, anything past this point, we're basically entering like crazy heavy guessing territory, but considering the speed at which humanity is expanding in this universe, and remember, to even be classified as a trans-government, you must control at least one solar system. We're not talking about a single planet here, we're talking about an entire solar system with at least one star. And considering that there are at least 17 trans-governments out there, even if we take the absolute lowball estimate that humans have at this point conquered about 17 solar systems, that is still an insane amount of territory to cover, because, you know, these things aren't exactly sprinkled right next to each other. Now, at the same time, we could make a bit of a guess here that Altera might not be doing as amazingly on resources right now as they normally would, considering the fact that they technically only dispatched one spaceship, well, the Vesper, to investigate everything on planet 4546b after what Riley had presumably told them when he returned back home, which you would think that encountering alien technology would probably hold some stronger bearings. But of course, it is also possible that they simply didn't really believe him, so they only dispatched one research vessel in case things turned out to be true. And more ships are flying towards 4546b right now as we speak. I mean, after all, we do know that the planet is quite far away, and it is definitely outside of the trans-government area that Altera controls. Finally, if you're wondering what's going on with all the other trans-governments, how many worlds are controlled, whether Altera has already encountered outer space alien technology somewhere else, honestly, answers to all these questions are currently simply not known. However, we can at least hope, for the citizens' sake, that the kind of testing that Altera does to put everyone into a position that is supposedly perfect for them is making people in the future, even if it's controlled by mega corporations, live out at least relatively happy lives. But on that thought, I'm gonna end this speculation video, and I hope you guys enjoyed and have at least something new to think about until more information about this is released, or at least until we can play more of Below Zero. If you liked this video, maybe consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. All of those would be very much appreciated. And if there's anything that I missed, or theories of your own that you would like to cover, make sure to leave those down in the comments as well. I would very much like to read both of those things. Now with that, I'm gonna wish you all a beautiful rest of today, and I'll see you in whatever next video I make. Bye bye.